Evelyn's porch light had burned every night for 12 years, 43 bulbs replaced. Never an LED, always warm yellow. She checked it at 11 without fail. This night was no different, until the knock. Evelyn moved through the quiet house, her quilted robe brushing the floors. She pressed her palm to the screen door. Through the mesh, she saw a man in navy dress blues, cap under his arm, duffel at his feet. His eyes were red. In his hands, a thick bundle of letters, tied with kitchen string, worn and yellowed, 12 years' worth. She didn't move. 5 full seconds passed while she took him in.
You hungry?
Tyler didn't answer, just stood there, letters trembling, his breath catching in the cold air. Evelyn pushed open the screen door. The hinge creaked, the only sound in the night. She stepped back to let him in. The porch light stayed on, steady as it had been since the night he left. The year was 2014. Tyler, 17, drove his mother home through a hard November rain. On a curve, the tires lost grip. The car spun, the guardrail buckled. Anya never opened her eyes again. At the funeral, Tyler stood apart. He hadn't spoken since the accident. Evelyn sat in the front row, her face a mask. The real tears would come later, alone.
Don't look back. Just keep walking.
He didn't look back. The house receded into the violet sky. Inside the Greyhound, the rumble of the engine could not drown out the sound of her last breath. He rode for 14 hours. No destination, only a way. Behind him, Evelyn woke to an empty room and a silence that would last 12 years. The years ahead would be marked by absence and a hope that refused to die. The night Tyler disappeared, Evelyn stood alone in the dark by the front door. Then she reached for the switch and clicked it up.
Just so you know which house is home.
6 weeks later, the bulb burned out. Evelyn climbed the stepladder and screwed in a new one. Same as before. Neighbor Dorothy saw the light still burning months later and wondered at it.
Evelyn, I got some LED bulbs on sale. They last years and don't burn out. No, thank you. He has to recognize it from the corner. An LED won't look the same.
Dorothy didn't argue. She just looked at the light, then back at Evelyn, and nodded. That was the first of many bulbs. The stepladder became a regular part of Evelyn's week. Every night, before she lay down, Evelyn checked that the light was still burning, and every night it burned on. A small yellow dot in a street full of dark porches. Months became years. The porch light outlasted 3 kitchen faucets and 2 refrigerators under the sink. The cardboard light bulb box filled with tally marks. Each a season, a prayer, a small defiance. Every November, Evelyn circled the date on the kitchen calendar. No words, just a blue pen circle. She sat by the front window, knitting, the porch light spilling amber across her hands. The neighborhood turned over. New families moved in. Children grew and left. Still, the light burned. Dorothy stopped asking about the light. She just brought casseroles when another bulb blinked out. When the tally passed 40, Evelyn could change the bulb with her eyes closed. Muscle memory born of grief. The stepladder creaked in the same spot. She knew each sound the porch made. She never said it out loud, but every night before bed, the same words rose in her chest.
I am still here.
1,000 miles from Evelyn's porch light, 18-year-old Tyler stood before a strip mall Navy recruitment office. He had $12 and a guilt that felt like shrapnel in his chest. Inside, the recruiter looked at the hollow-eyed boy and set down his pen. The recruiter said, "Son, you running to something or from something?"
From...
The recruiter didn't ask for details. He slid a form across the desk and leaned back. Tyler picked up the pen. He filled in his name, the only truth he had left. When the recruiter asked about job preference, Tyler's hand stopped over the line. He wrote Korsman, the one thing that felt like a prayer. That night, he lay on a motel bed, staring at the water stain on the ceiling. He didn't call anyone. He didn't even move.
This is what you deserve. No home, no light.
In the morning, he shipped out. Back home, the porch light kept burning, steady and unseen. In corpsman training, Tyler learned to suture wounds, start IVs, keep a man breathing with pressure and prayer. He pursued the work with a grim devotion that made his instructors uneasy. On his first deployment, dust and chaos became routine. He found his rhythm in the emergency tent. He stopped counting the lives he saved. Each one bought time he felt he didn't deserve. Once, he held a local child while the medevac landed, the boy's blood soaking his uniform. In the hospital, his mates called him Doc. He never corrected them. He couldn't tell them the title felt stolen, borrowed from a future he had wrecked. A second deployment came. He treated shrapnel, burns, his hands steady as church stone.
If I stop, I'll feel it. So just keep moving.
Somewhere, a porch light still burned. He refused to look in its direction. One night, alone in the barracks, Tyler pulled a sheet of paper from a drawer and gripped the pen until his knuckles ached.
What do you say to the woman who kept the light on?
He wrote, "Dear Evelyn," and stopped. The rest wouldn't come. He folded the page anyway. That empty letter became the first stone in a cairn. He tucked it into a shoebox and shut the lid.
I'll mail them when I've earned the right to stand under that light.
Months passed. He wrote after every mission, after every birthday of hers he missed, after every anniversary of the crash. The shoebox grew fat and swollen, straining against its tape. He never bought a stamp. It lived under his bed, a secret weight that grew heavier than any gear he carried. 12 years of letters, a monthly confession no one heard. He thought they were his penance.
She's better off thinking I am dead.
The years ground on. Tyler turned 29, his hands older than his face, and the Navy put his name forward for a commendation. Commander Harris reviewed the file with pride. The citations glowed. Courage under fire, lives saved, a corpsman who never broke. But during a routine barracks inspection that same week, the commander's eye caught something under Tyler's bunk. A shoebox forced shut with duct tape.
Corpsman, what is this?
Tyler's throat locked. For 12 years, that box had been a ghost. Now a man in a uniform held it.
I am not going to open your mail. But a man doesn't pack away this many letters unless he's running from something. Who are they for?
My grandmother.
12 years of letters to your grandmother, and not a single one mailed. That's not a box of correspondence. That's a box of unfinished business.
Harris didn't push further. He set the box on the desk between them and waited. The silence was louder than any order. Tyler stared at the box. The silence in the room pressed against his chest until he could barely breathe. Then, slowly, he opened his mouth.
I was driving, sir. It was raining. She died in the seat next to me.
The words fell out. 12 years of silence cracked open in a dusty office with a shoebox as witness.
I ran away after the funeral. Left my grandmother. I've been writing her every month for 12 years. Never mailed one. She kept the porch light on. Every night. I know it. Because I don't deserve it, sir.
Commander Harris leaned back. His gaze moved from the box to the man in front of him, and for a long moment he said nothing.
You've saved more lives than I can count on a combat tour, but you can't save yourself from a car wreck 10 years old. I am putting your commendation on hold. You can't accept it carrying that box. You are going to take that box to your grandmother. Then we'll talk about medals.
The order landed like a door unlocking. Tyler stood motionless, the weight of the box suddenly no heavier than the air. Tomorrow, he would face the light. The next morning, Tyler stood in the barracks doorway, his duffel packed, the shoebox wrapped in a towel. Commander Harris pulled up in a sedan.
Sir, I can't do this. 12 years is too long. She won't want to see me.
You don't know that. You've been running from a ghost. Time to see if the porch light still works.
What if she's given up? What if the light isn't on anymore?
Then you'll know. Either way, you'll stop wondering. I am not letting you run away again. I am driving you myself.
Tyler looked down at the bundle on his lap. The string bit into the old paper. He nodded once. The sedan pulled out of the base gates. In the rear view, the flag receded. Ahead, 300 miles of road. The hum of the tires was the only sound for the first hour. Tyler stared out the window, counting mile markers like rosary beads. Commander Harris didn't fill the silence. He drove with the patience of a man who had waited for soldiers to find their way back before.
She's still turning it on. I know it. Please, let it be on.
Darkness swallowed the highway. By the time they crossed into Tyler's home state, the dashboard clock read past 11.
These streets, the corner store, the old oak. I used to walk here with Mama.
Then, as they turned onto Elm Street, Tyler saw it. A small yellow dot, 3 blocks down.
It's still on. After all these years, she never turned it off.
Cordman, that it?
Yeah, don't stop. Keep driving. But the words stuck in his throat.
Commander Harris slowed the sedan and pulled to the curb a few houses down. The porch light filled the windshield. He killed the engine. The silence was absolute, broken only by the ticking of the cooling metal. A man in dress uniform, sitting in a sedan at 11 p.m., staring at a light that had been burning for him for 12 years. Tyler unlatched the door. The dome light flickered once, then darkness claimed him as he stepped onto the sidewalk. Behind him, Commander Harris killed the engine and became a silhouette, a silent promise at the curb. Tyler began the walk, up the narrow concrete path, the single porch light pulling him like a beacon he'd never believed he deserved.
12 years. And that bulb never went out. Not once. What does that say about her? What does it say about me?
The bundle of letters shook against his ribcage. 12 years of guilt wrapped in kitchen string and silence. He stopped at the foot of the porch steps. The light above felt like a spotlight, a reckoning. His boots found the first step, then the second. The old wood groaned under his weight, each creak a small accusation. On the porch, the screen door was dark behind the mesh. The light made a halo around his own shadow.
Mama, I know you are in there. Please don't hate me. Please don't turn me away.
He raised his hand, hesitated a final moment, then knocked. The sound was sharp, definitive, a doorbell that started everything. Inside the small house, Evelyn's knitting needles stilled. The knock hung in the air, heavier than any sound had a right to be. She rose slowly, the way a woman rises to meet a verdict. Her quilted robe brushed the floor as she moved to the front door. She pressed her palm against the mesh, the same mesh she'd pressed for 12 years. And through it, she saw him.
Tyler. My God, it's Tyler.
For 5 full seconds, she didn't move. She just looked at him, a man now, in dress blues, his eyes red, his hands full of old paper. Then she pushed open the screen door. The old hinge creaked, a sound from his childhood, a sound she'd never oiled.
You hungry?
Tyler's knees buckled. The bundle of letters slipped, hit the porch, and the string snapped. His duffel dropped. He stepped into the light, into her arms. She caught him. Her hands framed his face, the same hands that had changed 43 bulbs and held him like a child. She pulled him inside. The screen door clicked shut. Behind them, the porch light burned on, steady and eternal. Evelyn led him through the dark living room, past the photographs he'd memorized as a boy, straight to the kitchen. She guided him to a chair at the small table and crossed to the coffee maker without a word. Tyler set the torn bundle of letters in the center of the table, its string broken, edges fanning out like a wounded bird. Evelyn poured 2 cups, the good mugs, the ones with the chip that never mattered. She set one in front of him. Then she sat across from him, her hands folded, and looked at the pile of paper. Then at him. The kitchen clock ticked. Somewhere outside, a car engine idled at the curb. The silence between them was not empty. It was full.
I can't open them. But if I don't, she'll just sit here all night. She's been sitting here for 12 years.
Finally, Evelyn placed her palm on top of the bundle. Not to open it, just to hold it. She looked at Tyler and waited. The coffee grew cold. The porch light kept shining. Neither moved. The night held its breath. It was Tyler who finally reached for the first envelope, his fingers trembling as they broke the seal. Evelyn took the envelope from Tyler's trembling hand and held it back toward him.
You read the first one.
Tyler pulled the folded paper from the envelope, his hands unsteady. The worn page crackled in the silence.
Dear Evelyn, I am sorry. I am sorry for the rain, for the curve, for not being stronger. I see her every time I close my eyes.
His voice broke on the last word. He pressed his knuckles to his mouth, unable to go on.
Go on.
I don't deserve your light. I know you'll keep it on. Please don't. Or maybe please do. I don't know.
The letter fell silent. Evelyn reached across the table and laid her hand on top of his, stilling the trembling. She didn't speak. The first letter lay open between them, the first of an impossible stack. Outside, the porch light poured through the window, steady as a heartbeat. They took turns. His deployments, her birthdays missed, every anniversary of the crash. Letter after letter, the years unspooled on the kitchen table.
I held a soldier today who didn't make it. I thought of Mama. I don't know why I am still here.
Evelyn took an envelope, her name written in his teenage scrawl, and read his words back to him.
I am writing on your birthday. You are turning 70. I hope you are still turning on the light.
The pile of opened envelopes grew, spilling onto the chairs. The wall clock moved past 2, then 3.
I almost didn't make it today. The mortar landed close. I thought, at least you wouldn't have to wonder anymore.
Evelyn pressed her lips tight, tears falling silently onto the back of an envelope.
You were just a boy, Tyler. A boy in the rain.
She's not angry. She's not turning away. The light was never a test.
Hours passed. When the porch light began to pale with the first gray of dawn, they were still there, still reading. Tyler lowered the final envelope, his throat raw. The stack of opened letters covered the table between them.
I never mailed them because I thought if I deserved the light, I would have saved Mama.
Evelyn listened, her old hands folded, the dawn casting long shadows across the linoleum.
That light ain't about deserving, Tyler. It never was. It's about me telling you where home is. Every night, for 12 years.
She rose slowly, walked to the sink, and pulled a fresh bulb from the cardboard box with its tally of 43. She placed it in his palm. The glass was cool, the filament delicate.
You do it now.
Tyler stared at the bulb. The same kind she'd been screwing in all those years, waiting. He closed his fingers around it, and in that grip was the first real breath he'd taken since the rain. Tyler carried the bulb through the front door, Evelyn a step behind. The old stepladder stood where she'd left it, waiting. His hands, trained to stitch wounds, unscrewed the old bulb and set the new one in its place. He twisted until it caught. The moment the filament connected, the light came on, warm and yellow, exactly the same as it had been for 12 years. Back at the kitchen table, one envelope remained. The one he'd written 3 days ago, before the drive.
Read that one to me.
I am terrified. Commander Harris is driving me home tonight, and I don't know if the light will still be on. I hope it is. I hope it isn't. I am terrified you'll slam the door. But if it is on, I'll know you were waiting, and I'll know I was wrong all these years.
Evelyn reached across the table and took the letter from his hand. She folded it gently and set it atop the stack.
You are home now.
The kitchen clock showed 4 a.m. outside. The new bulb burned on, its light indistinguishable from the last, but finally shared. Days later, the November calendar square lay circled. Evelyn and Tyler stood by the front door, quiet.
It's time.
Together, they reached for the switch. Her old hand over his, they pressed down. The porch light clicked off. For the first time in 12 years, the bulb went dark. They stood in the sudden darkness, shoulder to shoulder. 60 seconds of silence, measured not by a clock, but by the steady rhythm of acceptance. Then, without a word, they raised the switch. The bulb reignited, spilling its familiar gold across the porch. Evelyn looked at the light, then at Tyler. The words came from deep in her chest, worn smooth as river stone.
For whoever else is out there.
Tyler nodded, the weight of 12 years lifting. The light was no longer a sentinel for one, but a beacon for all. They turned, went inside. The screen door whispered shut, and the light, steady and shared, burned on into the night. A week later, Commander Harris returned. Not in the dead of night, but under a bright Saturday sun. He walked into the garden with 2 junior officers. Tyler, in a simple button-down, stood beside Evelyn. The commander unfolded the commendation certificate. The paper caught the light as he read.
For exceptional courage under fire, and for the courage it took to come back home.
He pinned the medal to Tyler's chest. Evelyn's hand found Tyler's and held tight. The words hung in the air, a public acknowledgement of a private war he'd finally won.
Thank you, sir. I didn't do it alone.
Commander Harris stepped back, his stern face cracking into a rare smile. He nodded and saluted. The small assembly dispersed. At the gate, Harris paused, looked back at the house, then drove away. Tyler looked down at the medal, then at Evelyn. The weight in his chest was gone. After the backyard emptied, Tyler and Evelyn walked into the living room, the medal warm in his hand. On the mantel, a single photograph smiled back. His mother, Anya, frozen at 40 in a yellow sundress. Tyler set the medal beside the frame. Evelyn stepped closer, her reflection doubling in the glass.
She'd be proud.
She'd say the light worked.
Evelyn touched the medal with one fingertip, then rested her hand on his shoulder. They stood there, side by side, the same way they'd stood on the anniversary night. But this silence was easy. The porch light, still burning, reached through the curtains and caught the edge of the medal, making it glint. A quiet smile passed between them, the first in 12 years that held no shadow. Outside, the afternoon sun began its slow descent, and inside, the house felt full again. Night fell in the old neighborhood, the sky deepening from violet to black, and Evelyn's porch light blinked on, right on time. Through the front window, 2 silhouettes sat close together, talking quietly, sometimes laughing, sometimes silent in the way people who have weathered decades can be. The light poured onto the porch, the same porch where a 17-year-old had slipped into the dark all those years ago. In the kitchen, the box of letters sat on a shelf now, no longer a secret, but a testament. There were no more bulbs to count, no tally marks to add, just the steady yellow glow, a lighthouse for one that had become a harbor for 2. Inside, Evelyn refilled Tyler's cup without asking, the way she'd done when he was a boy, and he took it with a quiet thank you. The screen door stayed shut, but the porch light said everything it always had: home. Up and down the street, other porches went dark as the night deepened, but that one burned on, and it would keep burning, not for a runaway anymore, but for whoever else was out there looking for a light. The house was quiet, full, and finally still, and somewhere inside, a grandmother and her grandson sat together, not waiting anymore.